Hey there, this is Darren. Still figuring out how to do Zoom, Facebook Live. Just trying this out. So, Johnny Carson. One of the reasons, I love Johnny, a lot of people love Johnny. One of the reasons I loved him was near the end of his career. I remember him getting interviewed, and they asked him, they said, "What do you think was the key to your longevity and success?" And he sat back and he pondered. And then he said to the camera, he said, "I never looked down to my audience. I always looked up to them." And that might sound fluffy or foo-foo, but there's so much to that. And for me personally, I remember that when I was doing stand-up comedy, I realized it was such the best training ground I ever had. But it wasn't who I was. I remember I never felt like one of the other comedians. And what I realized, I came up with this little line that was, comedy cuts down, humor lifts up. Comedy cuts down, humor lifts up. And I realized that's what was the difference for me as what I wanted to do and what resonated. I have so many amazing friends that are great comedians. I love comedy. I love watching it. But when I was in it, I remember how it affected me, and it just like being in the comedy clubs with, drunks and penis jokes all the time. And it was challenging, and it was like draining on my soul. And so, like, for other people, hey, if that works for you and that's great, then cool. That's where you belong. I mean, I think comedians, what they do, Butch Bradley, he's one of my favorite comedians. What they do and his talents are amazing. And I wish I could do what they did. I mean, he has a show here every night in Vegas, and I love going to watch him. He's just got such amazing skill set. I remember he actually started where he used to open for me back in Boston, and just watching his skills and how unbelievable he is, I just admire that so much. But I realized that wasn't where I was ever going to reach my full potential. So I enjoy doing it once in a while. It's fun. But to reach that level, to do it consistently, to be paid well, and to just have the audience laughing, shooting beer and milk out of their noses. Not that there's a lot of milk at a comedy club, but anyway, I realized that's where I wouldn't belong. And so Johnny's advice, I'm not saying Johnny's advice got me to do it, but when Johnny said that, I was like, yeah, comedy cuts down, humor lifts up. And for me, what I want to do and where I put my energy and effort was really on the humor side. Relieving tension, as opposed to cutting people down. And there's definitely a place for that. I don't want to make it sound like I'm cutting down comedy, but it's just I didn't resonate with that style. It didn't work for me because it's not who I was. Now, look, I have been as judgmental as everyone else. I am definitely no halo on my head. I'm working on that, but I just thought it was brilliant advice. Johnny always played up to his audience as opposed to looking down at them and cutting them down. And I just think that's a big aha or revelation that, I don't know, I felt compelled to tell that part because a Toastmaster had sent me this, and I thought it was really cool. And it just reminded me of that quote. Especially when he was wrapping up, like I got all misty eyed, like when Letterman and Carson, when they were ending their time on TV, it was just like an era, that I grew up in. So Johnny Carson, you are missed. Anyway, humor lifts up. And for those of you who are from Vegas or know John Kindy, John was a dear friend and just passed away a couple of days ago. And just a lot of people are saddened, but he was one of the most brilliant comedy writers I've ever seen live. He used to recap Lady and the Champs, where he would be there at the end and he would recap these lines. I'm like, how do you think that way? He was so good and so brilliant. So, John, I hope you're up there in heaven and keeping the angels laughing. You'll be missed. His wit was second to none. And yeah, if you ever get a chance to read anything he's wrote, Humor Power was his blog. Just a super nice man, and watching him battle Parkinson's and never wanting you to feel sorry for him, and just taking his time getting up there. But his wit was so sharp; it was amazing. His body couldn't slow down his brain, that's for sure. So, John Kindy, to you, to Johnny, comedy cuts down, humor lifts up. Find ways to release tension in your audiences, whether it's through a good story. Um, anyway, for what it's worth, that's today. If you're watching my past 2 days, I got super deep and super sappy. And I thank everybody who sent me personal IM messages and stuff. Thank you for that. It meant a lot. I got choked up reading a couple of them. Thank you, Tim Barnaby. And Tanya, thank you so much. It was cool to hear. And I realized how much more powerful it is to be transparent, because you get more comments, you get more, you help people more when you go deeper and be real instead of trying to look great. So, day 22. See you tomorrow. Bye. And I don't know how to shut this off in Zoom. And I'm still broadcasting. I need my Dawson. That's crazy. Thank you, John Kindy.